18. To anoint with people through MP3 or YouTube on the earth, we'd like to suggest 3 questions. Number 1, in chapter 17, verse 10, and the Lord said to Moses, bring Aaron's rod back before the testimony to be kept as a sign against the rebels, that you may put their complaints away from me, lest they die. What does it mean, and what can we learn from here? Question 2, in chapter 18, verse 7. Therefore, you and your sons with you shall attend to your priesthood for everything at the altar and behind the veil, and you shall serve. I give your priesthood to you as a gift for service, but the outside who comes near shall be put to death. What does it mean, and what can we learn from here? Last question in chapter 18, verse 32. And we shall bear no sin because of it, when we have lifted up the best of it, but you shall not profane the holy gifts of the children of Israel, lest you die. What does it mean, and how can we apply it to our lives? We see here the tabernacle diagram. So its right hand side is the top, north, south, left, and west boundary. It's over there, the big pants there. There is east door is there, the outer court, and altar burnt offerings and bronze laver. That area is non-Levite, particularly for service, for worship that time. But the Levite helped so to the priesthood, Aaron's and Aaron's sons work there. Inside is the house is 2 parties there, holy place or sanctuary. Left column is the most holy place. There is the Ark of the Covenant there, or called as the Ark of the Testimony over there. So the sanctuary there, over there is the work only priest. So obviously the high priest there, but the most holy place only allow high priest may enter the most holy place. But right here, the table of showbread and also about 12 the bread display each bread the symbol for each tribe. That is left just before veil is the altar over bronze, altar incense, altar of incense there. So there is some incense there, smell come out there. Then is the left column golden lampstand. Lampstand is over there is the lamp is there. That is 7 lampstands. In the last time in Numbers chapter 16, verses 49-50, now those who died in the plague were 14,700, besides those who died in the Korah incident. So Aaron returned to Moses at the door of a tabernacle of a meeting, for the plague had stopped. So tabernacle, inside the house, over there, the meeting place, the altar, put aside. The just God slayed 14,700 men followers had complained against Moses and Aaron, and chapter 16, verse 3, they gathered together against Moses, and Aaron said to them, "You take too much upon yourselves, for all the congregation is holy, everyone over them, and the Lord is among them. Why then do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord?" So basically, Aaron and Moses, the leaders over Israel people, how come everybody saying is holy? Like God is a God. God gave a variety. Also God gave a particular function. So chorus followers missed that point. They and their family members went down alive into the pit. That is God's judgment. So those people, slaves. So as God, had a slave, right? In that way. Yeah. Then is because of that. Number two. So many people were killed because of that. Number two, all the Israelites had complained against Moses and Aaron in chapter 16:41. On the next day, all the congregation of the children of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You have killed the people of the Lord." Then, chapter 17. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, so God said to Moses, for the children of Israel, "Speak to the children of Israel, and get from them a rod from each father's house, all their leaders according to their father's house, 12 rods. So each tribe, leader of 12 tribes, get one of 12 tribes, 12 rods. Write each man's name on his rod. Each rod should be named with each leader's name." Then verse 3, "And you shall write Aaron's name on the rod of Levi." Aaron was the leader of the Levi tribe, or Levites. "So there shall be one rod for the head of each father's house." So each father has one rod. Verse 4, "Then you shall place them in the tabernacle of a meeting before the testimony." The testimony was 2 stones for the 10 commandments put in the ark, where I meet with you in the most holy place beyond the veil, that meaning the west bound, where God meets with Aaron, the high priest. Aaron is the representative of people, the case. Verse 5, "And it shall be that the rod of the man whom I choose will blossom." So God chooses just one rod to blossom miraculously as a sign to prove God's absolute choice. Thus I will rid myself of the complaints of the children of Israel, which they make against you. That way, in order to stop the Israelites complaining against Moses and Aaron, who are Levites. Verse 6, "So Moses spoke to the children of Israel, and each of their leaders gave him a rod apiece. For each leader, according to their father's houses, 12 rods, total 12 rods. All leaders of 12 tribes received the 12 rods. And the rod of Aaron was among their rods. The rod of Aaron, the leader of the Levites, was among the 12 rods. Verse 7, "And Moses placed the rods before the Lord, tabernacle of a witness, put the Lord's testimony, or the ark of the testimony, called as the ark of covenant, Exodus chapter 40, 17, 33, 34 right here. And he brought the ark in the tabernacle, hung up the veil of the covering, and partitioned off the ark of the testimony, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Then the cloud covered the tabernacle meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Then, in the tabernacle of witness, in the tabernacle of the covenant law, it means the tabernacle where the ark of covenant or the ark of testimony is put beyond the veil. Then verse 8, now it came to pass on the next day that Moses went into the tabernacle of a witness or tabernacle of a testimony or tabernacle covenant. So, here, and behold, the rod of Aaron of the house of Levi had sprouted. Number 1. Number 2, put forth birds. Number 3, produced blossoms. Number 4, yielded ripe almonds. Moses went into the tabernacle and saw Aaron's rod blossomed. Verse 9, then Moses brought out all the rods from before the Lord to all the children of Israel. That's a meeting place out the court. Moses brought all the rods out of the tabernacle to all the children of Israel in the outer court. Outer court. Onto outer court. They looked and each man took his rod. They recognized no blossom on their rods except Aaron's rods. Verse 10, that's question 1. And the Lord said to Moses, bring Aaron's rods back before the testimony. God told Moses to put Aaron's rod into the ark of testimony or the ark of covenant until the time of Solomon. Hebrews chapter 9 verse 5, and above it is was the cherubim of glory overshadowing the mercy seat. Mercy is the late of the ark of covenant, the ark of testimony, or the ark of witness. All of these things we cannot now speak in detail. 2 Chronicles chapter 5 verse 10, nothing was in the ark except the 2 tablets which Moses put there at Horeb. And the Lord made a covenant with the children of Israel when they had come out of Egypt. So Solomon's time is Noah is Aaron's rods there. So he kept as a sign against the rebels. Aaron's rod was the sign against the rebels who complained that God did not choose particularly Aaron, Moses, and other Levites. In light of chapter 16 verse 3, all the congregation is holy. That you may put their complaints away from me lest they die. The purpose of Aaron's rod was the reminder not to complain against God's absolute choice. Aaron's rod blossom is not an object to worship. A shrine is not an object to worship. Jesus' portrait is not an object to worship. Peter's sculpture is not an object to worship. Those are signs to remind us of particular meanings. If we you worship any creatures rather than God, that's idol worship against God's second commandment. Exodus chapter 20, verse 4 and 5. You shall not make for yourself a carved image and likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water and the earth. You shall not bow down to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. Then verse 11. Thus did Moses, just as the Lord had commanded him, so he did. Moses did accordingly. Verse 12. So the children of Israel spoke to Moses, saying, surely we die, we perish, we all perish. Because in 1641, all the congregation of the children of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron. And some of them survived the plague which killed 14,700 men. Verse 13. Whoever even comes near the tabernacle of the Lord must die. Shall we all utterly die? Because all complain, but God is merciful, asking them of cleansing rituals from iniquity through priests in the following chapter. Then the Lord said to Aaron, you and your sons, Aaron's sons, and your father's house with you, all descendants of Levi, the third son of Jacob. See Genesis chapter 49, other than Aaron and his sons. Here, with you, under the supervision over Aaron, the high priest, shall bear the iniquity related to the sanctuary, have a duty to cleanse the iniquity to the sanctuary or the holy place. See picture above it. And you and your sons with you and your sons under your supervision bear the iniquity associated with your priesthood. Aaron and his sons as a priesthood have a duty to cleanse the iniquity for their own sins and for the people's sin. Today we just pray to the Lord for forgiveness of our sins or other sins in Jesus' name. That is Hebrews chapter 7, verse 26-20. For such a high priest was fitting for us, who is holy, harmless, and defiled, separate from sinners, and has become higher than the heavens, who does not need daily, as do the high priest, to offer up sacrifice, first for his own sins, and then for the people. For this he did once for all, when he offered up himself. For the Lord appointed a high priest men who have weakened, but the word of the oath which came after the Lord appoints the Son, who has been perfected forever. Then verse 2, and bring with you your brethren of the tribe of Levi, the tribe of your father, that they may be joined with you and serve you, while you and your sons are with you, your sons under your supervision, before the tabernacles of witness or tabernacle testimony. The Levites, other than Aaron and his sons, assist their priesthoodship before the tabernacle, not in the holy place or sanctuary. Verse 3, then shall attend to your needs and all the needs of the tabernacle. They can help all these to Aaron and his sons priesthood, but they shall not come near the articles of the sanctuary and the altar, lest they die. They are prohibited to enter the sanctuary or the holy place to touch any articles of the table of showbread, the altar of incense, or lampstands, lest they die. Otherwise, they are subject to death penalty. They and you also. Verse 4. They shall be joined with you and attend to the needs of tabernacles of meeting. For all the work of the tabernacle, but on outside shall not come near you. They may assist Aaron and his son, the priest, works in full about the tabernacle of meeting to serve or to worship. But on outside shall not come near you. Non-Levites are prohibited to come to the priesthood, even king not allowed. Verse 5, and you shall attend to the duties of the sanctuary and the duties of the altar. Aaron and his sons have the duties of the sanctuary and the duties of the altar of incense, as well as the altar of burnt offering on the altar court. So here, there may be no more wrath on the children of Israel, and God's wrath judgment may not be against the Israelites, the former. That's the answer. In that way, law is there, particularly chapter 18, verse 5. 18, that is 18 verse 5, that way. Verse 6, behold, I myself have taken your brethren, the Levites, from among the children of Israel. They are gifted to you, given by the Lord, to the work of the tabernacle of a meeting. The Levites, other than you and your sons, are the gift given by God, called as grace. God's given gift called as grace. So, unmerited favors, truly, that's called grace. That's a gift to assist your priesthood work for the meeting in the tabernacle. Then verse 7, that is talking about the right, Levites, the Levite gift, in other words, the Levites, right. Levites right for work, for their worker, their spiritual work, they work for God. God is to provide his work. 7. Therefore, you and your sons, Aaron and his sons with his sons under Aaron, the high priest supervision, shall attend to your priesthood for everything at the altar and behind the veil. They participated in their priesthood for everything at the altar of incense behind the veil, which means up to the holy place. Only high priest may enter in the most holy place, particular purpose. So you shall serve anytime for particular purpose. I give your priesthood to you as a gift for service. Priesthood office is God's gift. In New Testament time, the Spirit of God gives various gifts. For example, evangelist, teacher, pastor. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 4 to 6. They are diverse of gifts, a lot of kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit. They are different of ministries. Ministries of many kinds of different ministries. Homeless ministry, sober living ministry, a lot of kinds of ministries. So, but the same Lord. They They are diverse of activities, many activities, even if it seems of a living ministry activities quite different to it. Some is bringing food box to them, some is leading song. But it is the same God who works all in all. Ephesians chapter 4, 11, 12. And he himself gave some to be apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers, for the purpose, for the equipping of the saints or the Christians, for the work of ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ, to build up the body of Christ. 1 Peter chapter 4, 10. And each one has received the gift, what I've given God gift, minister it to one another, serve each other as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. Many kinds of grace, not only grace, position, salvation, so many kinds of God's gifts. Talking one here. But the outside who comes near shall be put to death. Non-priests who come near the holy place or the most holy place are subject to death penalty. So even Levites, other than priests, not allowed there. So only in order to deliver some article to cover, like lampstand, then the Levite can deliver those articles in that way, but not directly touching articles over century. Verse 8. And the Lord spoke to Aaron, here I myself have also given you charge of my heave offerings. All the holy gifts of the children of Israel, Aaron the high priest is charged to offer the holy gifts given by people to God by heave offering first. I have given them as a portion to you and your sons as an ordinance forever. The wages here, given them as an portion to you and your son. After heave offerings, they are the rewards or wages for Aaron and his sons, the priest labor. 1 Timothy chapter 5, 17, 18. Let the elders who rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially those who labor in the word and doctrine, teaching with double honor. So for the scripture says, you shall not muzzle an ox while it treads out the grain, and the laborer is worthy of his wages or his reward. So that is wages. As an ordinance forever, the wages are the rights or power arising from God's Lord. But in New Testament time, the rights may be waived in full or in part on earth for the gospel not to be hindered by each minister responding to the totality God's provision. So depend upon God's provision, not particular to work only, not binding utterly employment contract. Employment contract is only specific subject matter. So the employment contract is limited to subject matter. For example, certain work is not in a total. But Christianity, in this case, the compelling motive is to love the Lord, and the reward must be paid in full in either earth or heaven. The reward shall be paid in full unless this way. For example, Paul is basically Paul Barnabas did not receive his reward, So by working by tent maker, he paid his physical necessity. But Simon's case is he received only partial. So Jesus also sort of received the partial, because carpenter work is kind of thin. So here, 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse verse 6, 7, and 12. Or is it only Barnabas and I who have no right to refrain from working? Whoever goes to work at his own expense, who plants a vineyard and does not eat of its fruit, or who tends a flock and does not drink of the milk of the flock. Verse 12. If others are partaker of this right, wage right over you, are we not even more? Nevertheless, we have not used the right, but endure all things, lest we hinder the gospel of Christ. Mark chapter 6, verse 3. Is this not the carpenter, the son of Mary? So the son of Mary is a carpenter, and brought James, Charles, Joseph, Judas, and Simon, and are not his sisters here with us. So they were offended at him. So it depends upon this one is a particular regarding subject matter, but this case is totality of God's provision. So depend upon that. Verse 9. This shall be yours of most holy things reserved from the fire. Every offering of theirs, every grain offering, and every sin offering, and every trespass offering, which they render to me, shall be most holy for you and your sons. The left things after priests labor for the fire offerings on behalf of people to the Lord are the high priest and priest's wage or rewards. Verse 10. In a most holy place you shall eat. Aaron must eat in the most holy place. Every male shall eat, his sons must eat. It shall be holy to you. Verse 11. This also is yours, the heave offering of their gifts with all the wave offerings of the children of Israel. I have given them to you, Aaron the high priest, and your sons and daughters with you, your sons the priest, and your daughters under your supervision, as an ordinance forever. His supervision, that is after Hebrew or wave offerings to God on behalf of donors, the left part are their wage or reward, as an ordinance forever. It's your right rising from God's law. Everyone who is clean in your house may eat it. Aaron's family members who are not profane may eat it. Verse 12. All the best of the oil, all the best of the new wine and the grain, their first fruit which they offer to the Lord, I have given them to you. After Aaron's offers the best oil, new wine, grain, and or the first fruit of God on behalf of people, those are Aaron's rewards or wages. Verse 13. Whatever first right fruit is in their land, which they bring to the Lord, shall be yours. Everyone who is clean in your house may eat it. After Aaron's offers, whatever first right to fruit to God on behalf of people, it is Aaron's wage. His family members may eat it. Verse 14. Every devoted king in Israel shall be yours. Every other thing offered to God is Aaron's wage. Everything that first or flesh which they bring to the Lord, whether man or beast or animal, shall be yours. After everything of the first breath of a man or animal given to God is Aaron's age. The firstborn man you shall surely redeem. The people will offer something for the firstborn uncleanness to God through Aaron in verse 16. 1 month old infants, 5 shekels of silver. Then the first of an unclean animal you shall redeem. The first animal are killed with blood to be cleansed by either a priest under the supervision of the high priest or the high priest in verse 17, sprinkling their blood on the altar. Verse 16, and those redeemed of the devoted thing you shall redeem when 1 month old, according to your valuation, for 5 shekels of silver, according to the shekel of the sanctuary, which is 20 gerahs. 1 month of the infant should be redeemed with 5 shekels or 100 gerahs. Verse 17, but the firstborn of a cow, firstborn sheep, firstborn of a goat, you shall not redeem, no pay something. In other words, you do kill them. They are holy. You shall sprinkling their blood on the oaks and burn their fat as an offering made by fire for sweet aroma to the Lord. Sprinkle the blood on the altar of a burnt offering and make their fat by fire offering for the sweet smell to God. Verse 18, and their flesh shall be yours. After the death offering, the left flesh is Aaron's edge, the wayward breasts and the right thigh are yours. The remaining breast by wave offering and the remaining right thigh by offering are your wages. Verse 19, all the heave offerings of the holy things which the children of Israel offer to the Lord I have given to you. Those are the wages of you and your children. Your children is your supervision. An ordinance forever. Ordinance is the legal right arising from God's right. It is a covenant of salt forever. Forever salt means imperishable. That imperishable covenant forever between God and all priests. Verse 20, the Lord said to Aaron, you shall have no inheritance in their land, nor shall you have any portion among them. I am your portion and your inheritance among the children of Israel. No portion of land where they, the tribe of Levi, may produce vegetables, fruits, or domestic animal, unlike for other tribes of Israel. The other tribes, Israel, material necessity or physical necessity. I am your portion, which God Himself provides material needs or physical necessity. For the priesthood works as follows. Verse 21, behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tithes in Israel as an inheritance in return for the work which they perform, the work of the tabernacle of meeting. All the tithes offered to God by people are their wages for the work of the tabernacle to meet. Verse 22, hereafter the children of Israel shall not come near tabernacle of a meeting lest they bear sin and die. Non-Levites are not allowed to enter sanctuary, but only to enter the outer court in certain days. Otherwise, they are subject to death penalty. 23. But the Levites shall perform the work of tabernacle of a meeting, and they shall bear their iniquity. The Levites have the duties to perform the work of a tabernacle to meet, and have no exemption from their own iniquity. It shall be a statute forever, a written law forever, Throughout your generation, then among the children of Israel they shall have no inheritance, but God gives no inheritance, but God gives the tithes to them in verse 24. For the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer up as a heap offering to the Lord, I have given to the Levites as an inheritance. Therefore I have said to them, among the children of Israel they shall have no inheritance. The tithes by heap offering given first to God by people are their wages as their inheritance. Verse 25, then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak thus to the Levites, and say to them, when you take from the children of Israel the tithes, which I have given you from them as your inheritance, in other words, your wages, or your rewards, then you shall offer up as an offering of it to the Lord a tenth of the tithes. They should take the tithes received as their inheritance by God. Then you must all offer the tenth, 1/10 of the received tithes to God by heap offering. Levites, including priests and high priests, are not exempted from tithes to God. Nehemiah chapter 10 verse 23, and the priests, descendants of Aaron, shall be with the Levites together. Aaron together. When the Levites receive tithes, and the Levites shall bring out the tenth of tithe to the house of God, to the rooms of storehouse. For the children of Israel and children of Levi shall bring the offering of grain, of new wine, on the oil, the storerooms where the articles of the sanctuary are, where the priests who minister, and the gatekeepers and the singers are, and will not neglect the house of our God. So that purpose, the sugar tends to 27. And your heap offering shall be reckoned to you, as though it were the grain of treasure flowing, and as the fullness of the wine press. The Levites heap offering of the tenth of tithes is counted to them as non-Levites offer tithes of the grain and the wine to God. Verse 28. Thus you shall also offer a heap offering to the Lord from all your tithes, which you receive from the children of Israel, and you shall give the Lord the heap offering from it to Aaron's the priest. The Levites brought the tenth of the received tithes to Aaron the high priest, or they will supervise, and then Aaron offers it by heap offering to God on behalf of them. Obviously, Aaron must offer his tenth to God by himself. Verse 29, of all your gifts you shall offer every heap offering to the Lord. From all the best of them, the consecrated part of them. The Levites should offer the tenth, which is due, best, and consecrated, in other words, holy. So if you love God with your whole heart, soul, and mind, you should offer the first and best thing to God, not left over thing, nor grudge sale. Verse 30, therefore you shall say to them, when you have lifted up the best of it, then the rest shall be accounted to the Levites as the produce of threshing floor, and as the produce of the wine press. After Levites offered the best tenth by heap offering to God through Aaron, the leftover things, that is ninth, tenth, is their wage or reward in verse 31, as the products of the threshing floor and of the winepress of non-Levites. Verse 31, you may eat it in any place, you and your household, for it is your reward for your work in the tabernacle of meeting. You and your family members may eat it. Your wage for your work in the tabernacle, that is your wage or reward. 32, last question. And you shall bear no sin because of it. When you have lifted up the best of it, when you offer the tenth to be best to God, you must not sin. You shall not profane the holy gifts of the children of Israel, lest you die. You shall not do wrong. You must set apart the holy things from the secular walls, or you are subjected to death penalty. Obey according to God's word. Galatians chapter 3, verse 25. But he who does wrong will be repaid for what he has done. There was no partiality. That example is Eli's son that is wrongdoing. That's why Eli punished, because Eli father not well supervise his children. Another case is Aaron's two priests, two sons, strange fire and put in there. So that's why they were killed too. So that is the example. Let's sing all together the last questions on bulletin. It's page 84, number